Good Manager. This was the show that first showed the public that Nam Goong-min has so much more to him than playing villains. Kim Sung-ryong, Nam Goong-min, is whiz at numbers, who uses his considerable talent to manage money for a gang. When a chance accident places him as the chief of the accounting department within the TQ conglomerate, the usually outrageous and morally iffy Sung-ryong decides to uproot the corruption within the company as a whole. What follows is a series of increasingly amusing events, as Sung-ryong takes on everyone from petty managers to TQ's golden boy Seo Yoal, Lee Jun-ho. Why you'll love it, with a host of talented actors like the underrated Nam Sang-mi and backstabbing aplenty, this show makes a serious subject a joy to watch. Plus Nam Goong-min and Lee Jun-ho have one heck of a fun bromance. Life. Ye Jin-woo, Lee Dong-wook, lives as quiet a life as an ER doctor can live at one of Korea's most prestigious hospitals. But he has a secret. He's constantly plagued by visions of his brother Ye Sun-woo, Lee Kyu-hyung. In real life, Sun-woo is disabled and requires a wheelchair to get around, but the version that Jin-woo sees doesn't requires one. Jin-woo's world is further shaken when the hospital director, a father figure to him, dies under mysterious circumstances after supposedly embezzling money. The hospital's vice president is implicated in his death. While the hospital struggles to figure out the new chain of leadership, ambitious surgeons and department heads make a play for power. So when the ice-cold and mercenary Gu Seung-ho, Cho Seung-woo, is brought in as a replacement director, a rift forms among the staff between those who think Seung-ho's profit-first mentality is necessary and those, like Jin-woo, who are prepared to fight to keep profit out of healthcare. Only junior pediatrician Lee No-yeol, Won Jin-ah, seems to see both the merits and the problems of Seung-ho's deeply unpopular policies. As Seung-ho and Jin-woo separately uncover a web of corruption and a potential murder cover-up within the hospital, the question arises of who the villain is here. Seung-ho? Jin-woo? Or is it whoever could have killed the previous director? Why you'll love it, this drama is by the same writer as Stranger and features much of the same cast of very talented actors like Yoo Jae-myung. It's a powerhouse of acting, directing, and writing that highlights complex ethical debates in the medical profession, not regarding the treatment of patients, per se, but how hospitals view patients, as people in need of help or as profit-making machines. This drama is beloved for very good reason, especially for Lee Dong-wook's portrayal of Jin-woo, who is torn between his duty to his patients, his job, and his desire to fight for truth in a corporate world that seems bent on crushing all meaning from the truth. Estelle Sim. But it's the always incredible Cho Seung-woo that shines as Gu Seung-ho. He's charismatic, terrifyingly competent, makes dangerously good points, and you just aren't sure whether to root for him or not. There's a subtle romance he has going with Won Jin-ah's character that's just beautifully crafted, where both are slowly able to see whether the other is coming from. All in all, this drama is a must-watch and one of the best dramas written to date. Pied Piper. When speaking of incredibly well-written dramas, you can't omit Pied Piper from the list. This drama is so underrated but so good. Ju Sung-chan, Shin Ha-kyun, used to be a renowned corporate negotiator who cared only about the bottom line, money. That is, until he loses his fiancée in an act of terror that claimed numerous other lives. It's an act of terror that he blames himself for because he was on the phone with the killer and couldn't stop them. Only he heard the killer's eerie signature whistle, and he's spent the years since illegally plugged into the police radio to use his negotiation skills for good until the killer resurfaces. He teams up with Yeo Myung-ha, Jo Yoon-hee, who also lost her uncle in the explosion that killed Sung-chan's fiancée, and an elite news reporter named Yoon Hee-sung, Yoo Jun-sang, to take down the killer once and for all. But the more the trio delves into the killer's methods, the more they start to realize that whoever it is may have a point. Why you'll love it, this show keeps you on your toes until the very end. It's the perfect mix of action, thriller, mystery, and subterfuge. Without going too much into detail, the central mystery is well crafted, and Shin Ha-kyun acts his heart out, as always, in here. If you love thrillers, this is Special Labor Inspector Mr. Joe. This show and its main character are all about fighting corruption. Jo Jin-gab, Kim Dong-wook, used to be a member of the national team for judo until he made the mistake of protesting a rigged name and found himself kicked out of the sport. He later becomes a gym teacher but makes the mistake of standing up against the bullying and violence committed by the school chairman's son, so he gets kicked out of another profession. What's worse is that his wife Joo Mi-ran, Park Se-young, divorces him. Jin-gab passes the civil servant exam and begins work as a public officer, vowing that he won't get into any trouble. Yet, when he's transferred to work as a labor inspector at the Ministry of Employment, Jin-gab is forced to contend with greedy bosses and the straight-up evil Myeongzong group, all while crossing paths with his ex-wife. With new allies and a renewed will for justice, can Jin-gab take down all his foes while keeping his job? Why, you'll love it. Kim Dong-wook is always a delight, and he won the Daesang for his portrayal of Jin-gab. But the rest of the cast is just as great. In particular, Ryu Deok-won's portrayal of Woo Do-hye, head of the legal team at Myeongzong, is just spectacular and one of the best, most well-rounded characters in the show. If you're looking for a satisfying watch that's all about tearing into corruption, then this is the show for you.